A man from the East Coast, making his way all the way to the Midwest. Trying to make a better life, trying to provide, and trying to survive. It's the Midwest Bostonian. And now, here's Boston Johnny.
Here we are back with the Midwest Bostonian. Very lucky to have special guests this week. We have Sergeant Holmes at the Armed Forces Recruiting Center. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, sir. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for letting us interview you. The reason why we're doing this podcast is I'm a parent that just enlisted my son in the Air Force, and we're very excited about it. But I noticed some of the things when we were doing the process, so I thought it'd be a great opportunity since Sergeant and I have had a lot of successful discussions to kind of talk about that today. First thing I was really interested in asking you is to get a little background is looking at how successful you are and what you've shown us, the jobs that you've done and how you've excelled in the Air Force. Can you kind of give us a quick background of how you got there? Was this a childhood dream, or how did you kind of mold yourself into the situation you're in today?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I joined a little later, not quite after high school, but I joined when I was about 20 years old. It was shortly after, stuff in the Middle East was going down, and it like overnight turned into a childhood dream for me. I felt like it was a calling. I felt like that it was my job to serve my country, and I didn't think of anything else. I just felt like I wanted to help and do my part. And here I am 15 years later, almost 15 years later, and I still feel the same way as I did today as I did back in August 12th of 2003.
Wow. So, I mean, that's great to hear. It started with patriotism. I remember those days of when everything first started, how big patriotism was. Even though you started on patriotism and it's still there, and I know it thrives in you from just talking to you and seeing how you interact with my son. Even though it started in that regard, you ended up turning this into a very successful career. Could you give us some more about that? Because a lot of parents, the reason why they're having their kids join is they want to help them get a successful career. And in my situation, my son wasn't really good in a classroom activity, but he's a very hands-on person. And so I think it's cool that you can turn patriotism into a career.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Like I said, when I joined, a lot of us when we're younger, and even parents that don't understand, they believe that serving in the military, any branch of service, they think it's something you do for a few years. You get out, you collect college benefits such as the Montgomery GI Bill or the post 9/11 GI Bill. That's what is in most individuals' mindset. When I came in, I originally signed up for 6 years. I came in those first 6 years, we started a family, my wife Molly and my oldest son Braden at the time. When it came up for re-enlistment, at the time, even though I'd had probably a 20-page resume to my name and all this education, I kind of looked back and weighed my options. What do I do now? Do I get out? Do I try to start a new job? Do I continue on in the Air Force? And when I found out, and I sit down and I crunch the numbers, this is a career for me. And then I also thought to myself, I can retire in 14 years. At 40 years old, I can retire. That's when I started getting older, and I started thinking more mature like. And you can't beat the benefits from it, with the health care, the educational benefits, to be able to transfer your educational benefits now to your dependents. There's just the one small thing that the Air Force does ask of you, and that is obviously leave home for a while.
Yeah, that's amazing how you can do both things and be successful. I'm sorry to cut off Sergeant Holmes there. This interview seems to be very interesting to me, and I'm going to cut up in several sections because there's plenty of places that I can have people search for that will help them, their sons, their daughters, even people wanting to get into the military themselves. So I'm going to make this a multi-episode podcast. This gives me a chance to, on this first edition, to try something new, that is to play what I feel is the best songs I've heard that I guarantee you've never heard before that I think you'll enjoy. The first one is going to be by Moke, and it's called Down. I got to listen to them probably over a decade ago when they opened up for the Black Crowes. The band's no longer together. but I still really enjoy their music, and I hope you do too.
So I washed up, got up, topped my trunk, zipped it up, bagged it up, I threw it in the corner. Red light set behind me, drifting wildly, wishing away my day might come to order. Now the road is open, where I was broken, I will be sealed and healed by the company I keep. Deadly numb of venom, make sure you never lose sight of me in the hour you sleep.
We'd hate to say goodbye, but it looks like our program has come to an end. Tune in next time for the Midwest Bostonian. Until then, keep calm and Bost on.